There are some food and chemicals outlawed worldwide, but legal in America. Joining me now with some dangerous chemicals to be on the lookout for is longevity dietitian and gut health nutritionist Ella Davar. Ella, it's so great to see you.
Thank you for having me, Gail.
So I know that your focus is on the gut, and a lot of the reasons that other places in the world outlaw chemicals in certain foods and how they're manufactured is because they wreak havoc on our guts.
It accumulates over the time. So there's a long list of chemicals and food additives that are legal in the United States but are not legal in Europe, because FDA in America is more of a precautionary versus in Europe they have a more of a proactive approach. So here in America, over 10,000 chemicals and preservatives that are allowed in our food, and they're called generally recognized as safe. Yes, they're used in small amounts. However, they have not been evaluated in decades. And some of these chemicals are banned in Europe as of the last few years because of the recent scientific evidence that points to them as possible carcinogens.
Okay, so you brought up the U.S. government and what we examine. Let's take a look, because if you look at the list between the U.S. and Europe, even on allergens alone, these are the FDA's 8 requirements.
The most common allergens that are required to be listed on the label for consumers to recognize. However, I think we could do better. In Europe, the European Food Safety Administration requires 14 common allergens to be listed, and these are just food allergens. And what's even worse than that are preservatives and chemicals that are added. Some of them is titanium dioxide and the brominate and brominated vegetable oils and trans fat oils that are actually banned in Europe, in Switzerland and Austria, and they're very, they're almost in every processed packaged product in the United States.
And so what is this doing to our overall health?
Well, it accumulates over the years. It creates burden on our liver and our gut health to be able to detoxify all those things. So, and the research points how some of these things can accumulate over years and create potential cancer-causing symptoms. It also leads to destruction of mucus lining of our gut, and that could lead to allergy developments and skin issues and even neurological symptoms.
Yeah, it's really interesting because sometimes we'll travel and it's like you go to reach for this kind of creamer, it doesn't exist. You go to reach for this kind of sugar alternative, it doesn't exist. I mean, things just don't exist there that you can easily find here.
It's funny that you mentioned creamer, because one of the most common creamer that we use in America is actually banned in Europe because of the partially hydrogenated and brominated vegetable oils that are added there, and that's why you can't find them in Europe.
And what about some of the food colorings? Like, I know when we were with my kids, I think one of them had a hankering for some Skittles. No Skittles to be found.
Well, this is the worst. And actually, researchers from UCLA published an article that linking some of the coloring agents, specifically red 40, yellow 6, and the blue ones, to neurological and developmental issues in children that could lead to attention deficit disorder and hyperactivity. And that's why they're all banned in Europe.
Yeah, there's actually a really popular Netflix documentary streaming right now that's shedding a light, like we've been trying to do for years now, about the link between our gut health and our mental health. And it's definitely, connected.
Yeah, so I've been saying this for years as a gut health expert. Avoid everything that's not created by nature, because you're basically putting a huge burden on your system, on your immune system, to metabolize, to detoxify all those chemicals that are not created by nature and they don't belong in your body. And that's the easiest way to think of whether you should or should not be eating. If it's not made by farm or by nature, you should be avoiding it at all costs. Yes, you can have it once in a while as a treat because, it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere we go these days, but at least in your house, don't bring anything that has all these chemicals added, and this way I think you'll be safer.
All right, Ella, thank you so much. I always enjoy our conversations.
Thank you for having me.
And we're going to share Ella's advice on BloomTampaBay.com, and good news, Ella is sticking around. We're heading into the Bloom kitchen to make omega-3 sandwiches. We'll be right back.